There was a season when you were driven by effort, by vision, by desire, by dreams that burned so hot they kept you awake at night. You moved fast, you prayed hard, you believed boldly. But underneath that drive, there were attachments God could not carry into your future. There were dependencies on outcomes, on validation, on results that tied your identity to performance instead of obedience. And God, in His wisdom, refused to let you build your destiny on a foundation that would eventually collapse. So He touched your motivation, not to punish you, but to save you. You thought motivation was your strength. God knew it was becoming your God, so He let it fade. And when it faded, you panicked. You tried to force yourself back into the old rhythm. You pushed, you disciplined, you scolded yourself. You compared your present self to your former self. But nothing worked. Because what God shut down, human effort cannot restart. You were trying to resurrect a season God intentionally buried. Understand this: when God chooses someone, He does not let them succeed the wrong way. He does not allow them to be propelled by the wrong fuel. He does not permit momentum to carry them beyond character, intimacy, or dependence. That loss of motivation wasn't a breakdown. It was a breaking open. God was stripping away external drive so He could rebuild you with internal obedience. There is a dangerous kind of motivation that moves faster than God. It produces results but not roots. It creates momentum but not maturity. And God will always interrupt anything that threatens to make you powerful without making you surrendered. That's why you felt stuck. That's why progress slowed. That's why the silence became louder than the excitement. God was not absent. He was working deeper than your emotions could detect. You see, motivation is loud. Obedience is quiet. Motivation makes noise. Obedience makes history. God was transitioning you from being driven by feeling to being anchored in faith. And that transition always feels like loss before it feels like clarity. When motivation leaves, it exposes what was holding you together. It reveals whether you were chasing purpose or chasing the feeling of being purposeful. God needed to know that when the fire died down, you would still stay on the altar, and you did. Even when you didn't understand why you felt numb, you didn't walk away from God. You didn't curse Him. You didn't abandon faith. You stayed confused, tired, uncertain, but present. That alone proves you are chosen. Because many people love God only when He fuels their ambition. Chosen ones remain even when He removes the fuel. There is something sacred about seasons where nothing excites you except God Himself. No applause, no quick wins, no emotional highs, just obedience without adrenaline. That is where God forges trust that cannot be shaken. That is where He separates those who are called from those who are simply inspired. Hear this carefully. God is not impressed by your motivation. He is committed to your transformation. The reason you lost motivation is because God was weaning you off self-reliance. You were beginning to trust your discipline, your routines, your consistency more than His voice. And God will never compete with anything for your dependence. So He allowed the structure to collapse so the relationship could deepen. You didn't fall behind. You were pulled back like an arrow drawn into the bow. The tension you feel is not resistance, it's preparation. The further back God pulls you, the farther forward He intends to release you. But release without alignment would shatter you. So He paused the movement to adjust the aim. That's why this season feels uncomfortable. You are not failing. You are being recalibrated. God is teaching you how to move without emotional motivation, how to stand without visible progress, how to trust without constant reassurance. This is advanced faith. This is not the training ground for the crowd. This is the hidden place where chosen ones are reshaped. You think God is asking you to regain motivation. He's not. He's asking you to gain submission, because motivation fluctuates. Obedience remains. When God is finished with this season, you will no longer need excitement to move. You will no longer need affirmation to obey. You will no longer need visible results to trust. You will move because God said move. You will rest because God said rest. And that kind of life cannot be manipulated by circumstances or shaken by delay. That is dangerous faith. The enemy wanted you to believe your lack of motivation meant you were losing your calling. God allowed it so you could lose your illusion of control. There is a vast difference. Some things God can only give you when you stop striving for them. Some doors only open when you stop trying to force them. Some callings only activate when you surrender the need to feel powerful. This is why the silence has lasted longer than you expected. God is not rushing this process because He knows what is on the other side. You are not being prepared for a moment. You are being prepared for weight, influence, responsibility, authority, and authority without humility destroys its carrier. You may not feel driven right now, but something deeper is forming. A quiet confidence, a steady faith, a resilience that doesn't depend on mood or momentum. When God restores movement, it will not feel frantic, it will feel settled. You will move with peace instead of pressure, with clarity instead of chaos, with trust instead of anxiety. And when that happens, you will realize something shocking. You didn't need motivation, you needed alignment. The version of you that depended on motivation could not survive where God is taking you. The stakes are too high, the calling too serious, the impact too wide. God had to dismantle the old engine to install a new one, powered by faith alone. And now, in this quiet place where noise has fallen away and urgency has dissolved, God is teaching you something most people never learn. He is showing you how to live without leaning on emotional fuel. He is training your spirit to recognize His voice without needing excitement to confirm it. This is where shallow faith dissolves and deep conviction is born. This is where obedience becomes instinct, not effort. You are being taught how to stand when nothing is pushing you forward. And that is the kind of strength that cannot be manipulated by fear or delay. There are seasons when God speaks loudly, and there are seasons when He speaks with restraint. Do not mistake restraint for absence. God often grows quiet when He is watching whether you will remain aligned without constant instruction. Silence is not abandonment, it is examination. E is observing what you do when you are no longer energized by emotion, when the reward feels distant, when obedience feels heavy, and what you choose in this space defines what you can be trusted with next. You are learning how to move from striving to surrender. Before you prayed for momentum. Now God is teaching you how to wait with faith. Before you ran ahead because the fire felt urgent. Now you are learning how to walk at God's pace, even when your flesh wants speed. This is not regression, this is refinement. God is slowing you down so that nothing in you arrives fractured or misaligned. There is a wisdom that only comes when desire is quieted. When motivation fades, distractions lose their power. You begin to see clearly what truly matters. You begin to recognize how much noise once influenced your decisions. God is detoxing your spirit. He is removing the need to be seen, the need to prove, the need to rush outcomes. He is anchoring you in eternal perspective, where obedience outweighs urgency and faith outweighs feeling. This is why you feel different now. You are not empty, you are uncluttered. God has cleared the room so He can speak without competition. He is teaching you how to listen deeply, how to discern without pressure, how to trust without constant affirmation. These are the marks of someone being prepared for lasting impact, not temporary excitement. There are assignments God gives that cannot be sustained by motivation alone. They require endurance, discernment, and humility. They require the ability to remain faithful when applause is absent and results are delayed. God is shaping you for that kind of calling. That is why He allowed the surface sea level fire to dim, so the deeper flame could be established. You are being invited into a more mature faith, one that does not panic when progress slows, one that does not collapse when emotions fluctuate, one that does not depend on visible confirmation to keep believing. This is the faith that moves quietly but powerfully, the faith that builds patiently but permanently, the faith that remains when everything else falls away. God is also teaching you how to rest without guilt. You once believed that rest meant falling behind. God is teaching you that rest is sometimes obedience, that stillness can be just as productive as movement when it is directed by Him. He is showing you that your worth is not measured by output, but by alignment, that your identity is not tied to activity, but to belonging. And in this place of rest, God is healing parts of you that productivity kept hidden, wounds you didn't have time to notice, fears you pushed past instead of addressing. God is not rushing this healing because He knows unhealed places will eventually sabotage even the strongest calling. He is restoring you from the inside out, rebuilding your foundation so that what He places on you will not crush you. You may not see it yet, but this season is marking you. It is separating you from cycles of burnout and pressure. It is teaching you how to move with wisdom instead of impulse. When God releases you again, you will move differently. You will speak with clarity. You will act with confidence. You will no longer chase confirmation. You will carry conviction. And when that shift happens, you will realize how much God has already done in the silence. You will recognize that the pause was protection, that the stillness was preparation, that the loss of motivation was not a loss at all, but an exchange. Your strength for His, your pace for His timing, your control for His guidance. Do not rush this moment. Do not resent this season. God is closer now than He was when everything felt exciting. He is shaping you with intention, watching over every detail, ensuring that nothing in you is wasted or misplaced. Every tear, every question, every quiet prayer has been seen and honored. You are being prepared for clarity, not confusion, for stability, not chaos, for authority that flows from intimacy, not effort. And when God decides it is time to move again, you will not have to force it. The door will open without resistance, the path will align without strain, and you will walk forward, not driven by motivation, but guided by faith. This is the work of God in a chosen life: quiet, precise, intentional. Trust the process, remain surrendered. The fire is not gone, it is being refined, and when it burns again, it will burn steady, strong, and unshakable. And as this season deepens, God is also teaching you how to trust Him without explanations. There are moments when He answers prayers with clarity, and there are moments when He answers with silence that stretches your faith. This silence is not empty, it is full of intention. God is not withholding answers to frustrate you, but to mature you. He is drawing you into a place where faith is no longer dependent on understanding. You are learning how to believe before clarity arrives, how to remain faithful when logic has nothing to offer. That kind of faith cannot be shaken by uncertainty because it is rooted in who God is, not in what He reveals. You are also discovering that God's timing is not delayed, it is precise. What feels slow to you is actually God protecting the outcome. If He moved when you felt ready, you would arrive incomplete. If He released you when you were eager, you would be vulnerable. So He waits until your spirit is stable enough to carry what your prayers once demanded. God is never late, but He is often deliberate. And deliberation feels uncomfortable when your flesh wants movement. Yet it is in this discomfort that discernment is sharpened and trust is deepened. God is teaching you how to let go of urgency. Urgency rushes obedience, but wisdom waits for instruction. There is a difference between movement that is inspired and movement that is appointed. God is separating the two in you. He is removing the impulse to act simply because something is possible and replacing it with the discipline to move only when something is ordained. This restraint is not weakness, it is authority under control. It is strength that answers to God alone. There are layers of pride. God is gently dismantling, not the obvious kind, but the subtle kind that believes it must always be productive, always progressing, always visible. God is teaching you that worth does not come from momentum. He is anchoring your identity in relationship, not results. When this truth settles in your spirit, pressure begins to lose its grip. Fear loses its voice. Comparison loses its power. You no longer measure your life by speed, but by obedience. In this season, God is also restoring your discernment. When everything slowed down, your vision became clearer. You began to recognize what was draining you, what was distracting you, what was demanding energy God never assigned. This clarity is not accidental. God is pruning your life, not to reduce you, but to refine you. He is removing what cannot follow you into your future. And pruning always feels like loss before it feels like freedom. You are being taught how to carry peace in uncertainty. This is rare and powerful. Most people only experience peace when everything makes sense. God is teaching you how to remain steady even when nothing is resolved. This is spiritual authority in its purest form. It is the ability to stand without panic, to wait without anxiety, to trust without evidence. This kind of peace is not learned in abundance. It is learned in surrender. God is also recalibrating your prayers. You no longer ask with desperation. You ask with trust. You no longer beg, you believe. Your prayers have become quieter, but deeper, less emotional, but more sincere. God hears these prayers with great attention because they come from a place of alignment, not urgency. He is teaching you how to pray from faith instead of fear, from confidence instead of lack. Do not underestimate what is happening within you. Even when nothing around you changes, something eternal is being formed. God is strengthening your inner life so your outer life can be sustained. He is teaching you how to carry responsibility without losing humility, how to walk in authority without losing reverence, how to lead without losing dependence on Him. These lessons are not taught quickly because they must be learned completely. You are also learning how to forgive yourself for seasons you didn't understand. God is lifting the weight of self-condemnation that came from comparing who you are now with who you used to be. He's reminding you that growth does not always look like acceleration. Sometimes growth looks like stillness, like reflection, like rebuilding foundations that were never meant to crack again. God is not disappointed in you. He is patient with you. And as this season nears its turning point, something subtle but powerful is happening. Your confidence is no longer loud, it is settled. Your faith is no longer reactive, it is anchored. Your obedience is no longer driven by emotion, it is rooted in trust. This is the version of you God has been preparing. Not rushed, not frantic, not striving, but steady, discerning, and deeply connected to Him. When the next season begins, it will not announce itself with chaos. It will arrive with clarity. You will recognize it not by excitement, but by peace. Doors will open without force. Opportunities will align without compromise. And you will move forward with a calm assurance that you are exactly where God wants you to be. Until then, remain faithful in the quiet. Remain obedient in the waiting. Remain surrendered in the stillness. God is not finished. He is precise, intentional, and deeply involved in every detail of your life. What He is building in you now will sustain everything He places through you later. Trust Him. He is leading you with purpose. And in this unfolding work, God is also teaching you how to recognize His hand when it moves quietly. Not every miracle arrives with thunder. Some of the most powerful shifts happen invisibly beneath the surface, where roots are strengthened before branches are extended. God is training your eyes to see beyond spectacle, to discern His presence in subtle alignment, in quiet confirmations, in an unexplainable steadiness that settles your soul. This kind of awareness keeps you grounded when blessings come, so you don't lose God while celebrating His gifts. There is also a sacred humbling happening within you. Not humiliation, not defeat, but a gentle lowering of the self so God can be exalted without resistance. You are learning how to decrease without disappearing, how to surrender control without losing identity. God is teaching you that humility is not weakness, it is spiritual clarity. It allows you to hear Him without interference, to move without ego, to serve without expectation. This humility will protect you in places where pride would have ruined you. God is also reshaping how you define success. Before, success was movement, accomplishment, visible progress. Now God is teaching you that success is obedience fulfilled, regardless of visibility. That success is faithfulness when no one is watching. That success is remaining aligned even when outcomes are delayed. This redefinition is essential because the future God is preparing for you cannot be sustained by shallow measures. It requires a heart that values obedience above applause and truth above recognition. As this understanding deepens, fear begins to lose its authority. Fear thrives in uncertainty, but faith thrives in trust. God is training your heart to respond differently now. Where fear once rushed you, faith now steadies you. Where fear once demanded control, faith now rests in surrender. This transformation did not happen overnight. It was forged through waiting, through unanswered questions, through choosing trust when doubt felt louder. And that kind of faith does not collapse under pressure. God is also refining your patience, not passive patience, but active trust, the kind that waits while remaining ready, the kind that prepares without panic, the kind that listens more than it speaks. This patience is sharpening your discernment, teaching you when to move and when to remain still. God is aligning your timing with His wisdom, ensuring that when action is required, it is precise, intentional, and fruitful. There is a deeper intimacy forming between you and God now, not driven by crisis, not fueled by urgency, but sustained by reverence and trust. You are learning how to abide, how to remain connected even when nothing dramatic is happening. This is where relationship matures. This is where faith becomes less about requests and more about communion. God treasures this closeness because it creates a bond that cannot be broken by circumstance. You may not realize it yet, but your inner language has changed. The way you speak to yourself, the way you interpret silence, the way you respond to delay, it is different now. God has rewritten your perspective. He has replaced accusation with compassion, panic with prayer, pressure with peace. This inner transformation is evidence of His work. It is proof that He has been present in every moment, even when you felt uncertain. God is also preparing you to recognize opportunity without desperation. When the next door opens, you will not cling to it out of fear of scarcity. You will walk through with confidence, knowing God does not lead you into places you must strive to keep. What He gives, He sustains. What He ordains, He protects. And this assurance will allow you to move forward without compromise, without anxiety, without losing yourself. As you continue in this season, remember that God's work is layered. What He is doing now is connected to what He will do later. Nothing is isolated. Nothing is wasted. Every moment of waiting, every quiet prayer, every surrendered expectation is contributing to a future that is secure, stable, and guided by His hand. You are not standing still. You are being fortified. And when God decides it is time to advance, you will recognize the shift not by noise, but by alignment. Things will come together naturally. Resistance will lessen. Peace will confirm the path. You will move forward not because you feel compelled, but because you are convinced. This conviction will carry you through challenges without shaking your faith until that moment fully arrives. Continue to trust the process you cannot fully see. Continue to honor God in the unseen. Continue to rest in the assurance that He is faithful, intentional, and deeply invested in your journey. What He is building within you is eternal, and it will outlast every season, every challenge, every change. Remain attentive, remain humble, remain surrendered. God is leading you with precision, shaping you with love, and preparing you for a future that reflects His wisdom and glory. And as you continue walking through this sacred unfolding, God is also teaching you how to carry hope without illusion. Not the kind of hope that ignores reality, but the kind that stands firm even when reality is heavy. This hope does not deny difficulty, it transcends it. It is rooted in the unchanging nature of God, not in the shifting conditions around you. You are learning how to expect goodness without demanding timelines, how to trust outcomes without controlling the process. This is hope refined by truth, not emotion. God is also strengthening your spiritual backbone. There was a time when pressure could bend you, when uncertainty could exhaust you, when delay could discourage you. But now, something within you is steadier. You may still feel the weight, but it no longer defines you. God has taught you how to carry responsibility without losing peace, how to endure tension without surrendering joy. This strength was not given suddenly. It was built slowly, intentionally, through moments when you chose faith over frustration. There is also a deep cleansing happening in your expectations. God is removing assumptions that limited Him, ideas that confined His power to your understanding. You are beginning to see that God does not work according to human patterns. He moves beyond predictability, beyond formulas, beyond systems. And as your expectations align with His nature rather than your preferences, disappointment loses its grip. You stop being shocked by His methods and start trusting His wisdom. God is preparing you to steward blessings without idolizing them. This is crucial. Many people pray for increase, but few are prepared to receive it without losing focus. God is teaching you how to hold gifts with open hands, how to enjoy provision without becoming dependent on it, how to walk in abundance while remaining surrendered. This kind of maturity ensures that blessings enhance your relationship with God rather than replace it. You are also being trained to recognize spare. equal opposition without fear. Not every delay is resistance, and not every challenge is a setback. God is sharpening your discernment so you can respond with wisdom instead of reaction. You are learning how to remain calm when pressure arises, how to stay prayerful when uncertainty appears, how to trust God's authority over every situation. This discernment will protect you from unnecessary battles and preserve your strength for what truly matters. God is also restoring your sense of purpose, but in a purer form. Not purpose driven by ambition, but purpose anchored in obedience. You are beginning to understand that your life is not about chasing assignments, but about walking faithfully with God. When purpose flows from relationship, it becomes sustainable. It no longer demands constant validation. It simply unfolds as you remain aligned. There is a quiet courage growing within you. Not loud confidence, not reckless boldness, but a settled bravery that does not retreat under pressure. This courage allows you to say no without guilt, to wait without fear, to move without doubt. God has placed this courage in you so that when the time comes to step forward, you will do so with clarity and conviction, not hesitation. God is also teaching you how to honor process. Before, you wanted results. Now you value refinement. You understand that shortcuts may feel efficient, but they often compromise depth. God is ensuring that nothing in your life is rushed or shallow. He is building layers of wisdom, patience, and humility that will sustain you far beyond temporary success. And as this season continues to mature, you will notice something profound. Your trust in God is no longer fragile. It is no longer shaken by unanswered questions or delayed outcomes. It is anchored. You have seen enough of His faithfulness to know that He does not abandon what He begins. This confidence is not arrogance. It is assurance born from experience. God is preparing you to walk into future responsibilities with a calm authority that comes from intimacy, not effort. When others feel overwhelmed, you will remain steady. When others rush, you will discern. When others panic, you will pray. This is the fruit of the season you are in now. This is the evidence that God has been working deeply, consistently, lovingly. And now, as the days continue to unfold with quiet intention, God is inviting you into a deeper understanding of trust that is no longer fragile. This is not trust that depends on outcomes aligning quickly, but trust that rests in God's character, even when the road curves unexpectedly. You are learning that faith is not proven when prayers are answered immediately, but when obedience remains steady while answers are still forming. This kind of faith does not demand signs at every step. It recognizes God even when the path is dimly lit. God is also teaching you how to release the burden of needing to explain your journey. There was a time when you felt pressure to justify your pace, your silence, your stillness, but God is freeing you from that weight. He is reminding you that obedience does not require permission from others, and alignment does not need validation. When God leads you, explanation becomes unnecessary. Peace becomes your confirmation. There is a new reverence growing in your spirit, not fear but awe, an awareness that God is holy, intentional, and precise in everything He does. This reverence is reshaping how you approach decisions, how you speak, how you listen. You are no longer casual about His presence. You are attentive. You are careful. You understand now that walking with God is not about intensity, but about honor. This reverence will guard you from careless choices and keep your heart tender even in positions of strength. God is also showing you how to endure without becoming hardened. Waiting can sometimes make people bitter, guarded, distant, but God has preserved your softness. You have remained sensitive to His voice, open to His correction, willing to be shaped. This softness is not vulnerability to harm, it is availability to God. And He values it deeply because a soft heart remains teachable and a teachable heart remains usable. There is also a purification happening in how you respond to disappointment. You no longer collapse under unmet expectations. You process them with prayer. You bring them to God instead of burying them in frustration. This emotional maturity is a sign of spiritual growth. God is teaching you how to grieve without losing hope, how to acknowledge pain without letting it define you. This balance will sustain you through future seasons that demand both strength and compassion. God is preparing you to carry influence without becoming distant from Him. Influence has a way of pulling people away from intimacy, but God is anchoring you differently. He is ensuring that your connection to Him is not seasonal or situational, but constant. This is why He allowed you to walk through obscurity without panic, through silence without resentment. He was building a bond that does not loosen when visibility increases. You are also learning how to discern God's yes without rushing ahead of His timing. Sometimes God gives permission before He gives instruction, and wisdom knows the difference. God is sharpening your ability to wait for clarity, not just opportunity. This restraint will protect you from misaligned commitments and preserve your energy for what truly matters. There is a quiet authority forming in how you carry yourself now. You do not feel the need to prove your faith or announce your growth. Your confidence is not loud, but it is undeniable. It comes from knowing who leads you. It comes from having walked through uncertainty and emerged grounded. This authority will speak before you ever say a word. God is also restoring your joy, but in a deeper, steadier way. Not joy tied to excitement, but joy anchored in gratitude. You are learning how to rejoice in small confirmations, in simple moments of peace, in the assurance that God is near. This joy will not disappear when challenges arise, because it is not dependent on circumstances. It is rooted in relationship. As you stand in this season, understand that God is not preparing you for ease, but for endurance, not for applause, but for responsibility, not for comfort, but for purpose. And yet, what is in that purpose? He is also ensuring that you are cared for, strengthened, and guided with compassion. God does not call without covering. He does not lead without sustaining. So continue to walk forward with humility and confidence intertwined. Continue to listen more than you speak. Continue to trust what God is doing beneath the surface, even when the evidence is subtle. The work taking place within you now is creating a foundation that will not crack under pressure. God is faithful. He is intentional. He is present. And He is leading you into a future shaped by wisdom, steadiness, and deep spiritual alignment. Stay close. Stay surrendered. The path ahead is unfolding exactly as it should. And now hear this final truth with clarity and reverence. God has never lost control of your story, not for a moment. Every pause, every silence, every season where motivation faded was held firmly in His hands. What felt like drifting was actually divine ordering. What felt like emptiness was sacred space being created. God was never stepping away from you. He was drawing you closer to Himself, removing everything that could compete with His voice. You were never meant to be sustained by constant intensity. God was shaping you to be sustained by truth. He was teaching you how to walk when feelings are quiet, how to trust when signs are few, how to remain faithful when nothing is urgent. This is not weakness, this is maturity. This is the kind of faith that lasts, the kind that does not break under pressure or disappear in uncertainty. Understand this deeply. God does not choose people to burn out. He chooses them to endure. He does not call you to impress. He calls you to obey. And obedience born from intimacy will always outlast motivation driven by emotion. What God has placed inside you is not fragile, it is not fading, it is being fortified. The season you are in now is not the end of your movement, it is the alignment before it. God is ensuring that when you step forward again, you do so whole, grounded, and unshaken. When you speak, it will carry weight. When you move, it will carry purpose. When you lead, it will flow from humility and trust, not striving. So release the pressure to feel a certain way. Release the guilt for resting. Release the fear that something has been lost. Nothing has been stolen from you. Nothing has slipped away. God has been guarding your calling while refining your heart. And what He protects, He eventually reveals at the right time. Remain where you are with faith, not passive, but peaceful, not stagnant, but surrendered. God is closer than you think, working more precisely than you can see. And when the next chapter opens fully, you will recognize it instantly, not because it feels loud, but because it feels right. Trust God with the pace. Trust Him with the process. Trust Him with yourself. You did not lose motivation by accident. You lost it because God was preparing you for something deeper, stronger, and eternal. Listen, before your mind can argue, before your fear can interrupt, before your past can raise its voice, I need your spirit awake right now. God said, get ready for a jackpot surprise. Not the kind your logic can predict, not the kind your effort alone can manufacture, but the kind that breaks patterns, interrupts droughts, and leaves no explanation except the hand of God moving with precision and timing that only heaven could design. This is not a soft whisper meant to soothe you into comfort. This is a summons, a divine alert, a holy disturbance meant to shake you out of survival mode and realign you with expectation. Something is approaching that will not ask your permission to arrive. And if your heart is not ready, you may misinterpret the miracle when it shows up. There are moments when God speaks gently, and there are moments when God speaks urgently. This is urgency, because what is coming will challenge the story you have been telling yourself about your limits, your delays, and your disappointments. You have learned how to live without hoping too much. You trained your faith to whisper instead of shout because disappointment taught you to be careful, but God never asked you to shrink your expectation to protect your emotions. God asked you to trust His nature, not your history. And right now, He is calling you back to bold expectation, not because you have everything together, but because He does. You did not arrive at this moment by accident. The pressure you've been under, the unusual resistance, the strange waiting, the silent seasons where nothing seemed to move, those were not signs of abandonment, they were signs of preparation. God often stretches the container before He pours the overflow. And many people misread the stretching as punishment when it is actually expansion. You thought the delay meant denial, but heaven was building capacity. You were not being ignored. You were being enlarged. There are surprises God reserves for those who kept walking even when clarity disappeared, for those who kept praying when answers felt delayed, for those who did not quit when the outcome refused to explain itself. A jackpot surprise is not random. It is intentional favor colliding with prepared faith. God does not waste abundance on a heart that cannot steward it. And that is why you have been taught patience the hard way, not to frustrate you, but to anchor you. Hear this deeply. What God is about to release will arrive differently than you imagine. It will not knock politely. It will disrupt routines. It will challenge old agreements you made with lack. It will force you to update the way you see yourself, because you cannot carry tomorrow's blessing with yesterday's identity. And God will not apologize for upgrading your life beyond what you feel ready for. He knows what He placed inside you, even when you forgot. There are rewards God hides inside obedience that made no sense at the time. Every time you chose integrity when compromise was easier. Every time you chose prayer instead of panic. Every time you chose forgiveness when bitterness felt justified. Those moments were seeds, invisible, uncelebrated, unnoticed by people. But heaven recorded every one of them. And now the season is shifting from sowing to sudden return. This is not gradual increase. This is acceleration. This is the kind of blessing that catches up to lost time. You must understand something critical. God does not surprise to entertain. He surprises to reveal. When He releases a jackpot moment, it is not just provision, it is revelation. Revelation of His faithfulness. Revelation of His authority. Revelation that your life is not governed by chance but by covenant. And when that moment arrives, the loudest testimony will not be what you received, but how impossible it was without Him. Some of you have been living beneath your spiritual appetite. You settled into routines that kept you safe but not surrendered. You learned how to endure but forgot how to expect. And God is calling you higher, not through pressure but through promise. He is reminding you that He is not limited by your economy, your background, your age, your mistakes, or your timing. He is not waiting for the perfect conditions. He creates conditions by speaking. This jackpot surprise will not come because you finally did enough. It will come because God decided the season of withholding has expired. There are seasons where God teaches and seasons where God releases. And when release comes, it often feels sudden only because you could not see the spiritual transactions happening in the unseen. Heaven has been working quietly, aligning people, removing obstacles, closing doors you begged to stay open, protecting you from outcomes you were not ready to survive. You may feel unqualified for what's coming. That is a good sign, because God rarely surprises the self-sufficient. He surprises the surrendered. He surprises the ones who know that without Him nothing holds together. And when the blessing arrives, it will not inflate your ego. It will deepen your reverence. You will not say, "Look what I achieved." You will say, "Look what God did when I had no explanation." Prepare your heart, not just your hands, because abundance tests character more than lack ever did. God is not just changing your situation, He is refining your stewardship. He is asking whether you will remain teachable when doors open, whether you will remain humble when recognition comes, whether you will remember the source when the stream begins to flow. There is a difference between wanting a miracle and being ready for one. Readiness is alignment, alignment of faith, obedience, and expectation. And God is speaking now to realign you, to lift your eyes, to restore your confidence in His timing, to remind you that He is not late, He is precise. Some of you are still grieving what didn't work, still replaying what failed, still measuring your future through the lens of old disappointments. But God is not recycling your past. He is introducing something entirely new. And new blessings require new language. Stop speaking as though loss has the final word. Stop preparing for disappointment as a form of self-protection. Faith is not denial. It is agreement with what God has already decided. When the surprise comes, it will come with clarity. You will recognize it not because it looks flashy, but because it carries peace. It will align with purpose. It will confirm prayers you forgot you prayed. It will connect dots you thought were unrelated. And suddenly, the waiting will make sense. Not because it felt good, but because it was necessary. God is not teasing you with hope. He is inviting you into trust. And trust requires release. Relay, ace of control. Release of timelines. Release of assumptions about how blessing must arrive. Because the greatest surprises often arrive wrapped in obedience, not comfort. Stay awake in your spirit. Stay sensitive. Stay grateful before the gift arrives. Gratitude before manifestation is faith in its purest form. And God responds powerfully to a heart that honors Him before the evidence appears. This is not the time to shrink back. This is not the time to go silent in your faith. This is the time to prepare your mind, your habits, your prayers, and your expectations for increase that comes with responsibility. Because when God blesses, He entrusts. And when He entrusts, He invites you into deeper partnership. What is coming will not just bless you, it will position you to help, position you to influence, position you to testify without words. Because the greatest sermons are lived, not spoken. Even now, as you listen, something is stirring inside you. Not noise, not excitement, but recognition. Your spirit knows when truth passes by. God does not speak to entertain the mind. He speaks to awaken what has been sleeping within. And what has been sleeping is not your desire. It is your expectation. You learned how to survive disappointment by lowering what you believed was possible. But God is not intimidated by how long it has been. Time does not weaken His intention. Silence does not cancel His promise. Delay does not mean decline. What feels slow to you is still perfectly on schedule in heaven. There are moments when God allows emptiness, so you will recognize fullness when it comes. You felt the ache of unanswered prayers, not because God ignored them, but because He was teaching you how to hunger again. Hunger sharpens discernment. Hunger deepens prayer. Hunger strips away pride. And now that hunger is about to meet provision. Not a temporary fix, not a shallow relief, but a surprise that restores dignity, stability, and purpose all at once. God is not only concerned with what He gives you, but with who you become when He gives it. That is why the waiting season refined your character more than your circumstances. You learned restraint when you wanted release. You learned obedience when you wanted explanation. You learned endurance when you wanted escape. Those lessons were not wasted. They are the foundation that will keep the blessing from collapsing under its own weight. Some people receive increase and lose themselves. They forget who they were when they needed God every day, but God protected you from that. He taught you dependence before abundance, and now the surprise He brings will not pull you away from Him, it will draw you closer. Because you will know with unshakable certainty that no human system, no connection, no effort could have produced this outcome. Only God. Be careful not to underestimate the power of quiet obedience. Many of the greatest breakthroughs are born in unseen faithfulness. God saw you when no one applauded. God honored your integrity when compromise looked faster. God counted your prayers when you felt foolish praying them again. And now heaven is responding, not with fragments, but with fullness. What is coming will heal places you stopped talking about. It will answer questions you stopped asking out of exhaustion. It will validate obedience that never received affirmation. And when it happens, you will not need to announce it. Peace will announce it. Stability will announce it. Joy will announce it. A deep, settled knowing will replace anxiety, and you will finally rest. Not because life is perfect, but because God proved Himself unmistakably faithful. Do not rush this moment. Anticipation is sacred. Let expectation rise without panic. Let hope return without desperation. God does not want you frantic. He wants you aligned. Alignment is when your faith stops chasing outcomes and starts trusting character. And God's character has never changed. He finishes what He begins. He honors what He speaks. He fulfills what He promises. Some of you have been asking God for clarity, but what you really needed was courage. courage to believe again, courage to prepare again, courage to dream without apology. And God is restoring that courage now, not through hype, but through truth. Truth that your life is not small, truth that your obedience matters, truth that heaven has not forgotten your address. The surprise will require you to move differently, speak differently, steward differently. You cannot step into a new season carrying old fear. Fear may have protected you once, but it cannot lead you forward. God did not bring you this far to let fear define your future. He is calling you to trust Him, not just for survival, but for significance. And significance is not about visibility, it is about impact. God's blessings always ripple outward. When He lifts you, it is never only for you. When He provides, it is never only to satisfy. When He surprises, it is to reveal His goodness through your life in ways words never could. There will be a moment, quiet, almost ordina, right when you realize something has shifted. Not everything around you will change at once, but something within you will. A calm will settle where striving once lived. A confidence will rise that does not need to announce itself. That is often how God moves before the visible breakthrough appears. He adjusts the inner posture before He alters the outer landscape, because what is coming must meet a heart that can recognize it without fear and receive it without confusion. God does not overwhelm those He is about to elevate. He prepares them. And preparation often looks like simplicity, a stripping away of noise, a refining of focus. You may have noticed how certain distractions lost their grip on you, how some desires no longer pulled as hard as they once did. That is not loss, it is alignment. God is clearing space so the surprise does not compete with lesser things. What He gives must be able to breathe. There are blessings that arrive loudly and leave quickly, and there are blessings that arrive quietly and change everything. God is not interested in impressing spectators. He is committed to transforming lives. The surprise He brings will carry weight, not flash, substance, not spectacle. It will hold up under pressure. It will endure beyond seasons. And you will know it is from God because it will come with responsibility, not chaos. You are stepping into a phase where discernment matters more than excitement. Not everything that looks good is God, but everything God gives will be good, even when it stretches you. You will need wisdom to recognize which doors are invitations and which are distractions dressed as opportunity. God will not confuse you. His leading will be steady, not frantic, clear, not forceful. Peace will guard the path forward, even when the steps require courage. Some of you are about to be trusted with influence you never sought, resources you never chased, stability you once begged for, and God is reminding you now, stay anchored. The higher He lifts you, the deeper your roots must grow. Pride turns blessings into burdens. Humility turns blessings into legacy. And God has always been more interested in legacy than momentary success. Do not rehearse failure in advance. Do not assume that what went wrong before must go wrong again. That was then. This is now. God specializes in new beginnings that do not resemble the old chapters. He is not recycling outcomes. He is writing fresh ones. And your responsibility is not to predict how it will unfold, but to remain faithful as it does. There will be moments when you are tempted to explain everything, to justify the blessing, to soften its impact so others feel comfortable. Resist that urge. You do not owe anyone an apology for what God has decided to do in your life. Gratitude is your responsibility, not guilt. Stewardship is your assignment, not self-diminishing. When God blesses, He expects you to walk upright in it. At the same time, guard your heart from comparison. God's work in you does not need to resemble His work in anyone else. Comparison drains joy and distorts purpose. What He has prepared for you fits you. It matches your calling, your capacity, your journey. Stay in your lane. Stay attentive to His voice. The moment you start measuring yourself against others, you lose sight of what God is doing uniquely through you. This season will require listening, read and speaking, waiting more than rushing, trusting more than proving. God is teaching you how to move with Him, not ahead of Him. And when you learn that rhythm, life becomes less exhausting. You stop striving for validation and start walking in alignment. You stop forcing outcomes and start recognizing grace. The surprise will not remove every challenge, but it will change how challenges affect you. What once threatened your peace will lose its power. What once intimidated you will no longer define you. Because confidence rooted in God does not rise and fall with circumstances. It stands steady, knowing the source is constant. Remember this, God does not bless randomly, and He does not retract capriciously. What He gives, He sustains. What He opens, He protects. Your role is to remain faithful after the breakthrough, not just before it. Many people pray for doors to open, but few pray for the wisdom to walk through them well. Ask God for that wisdom. He delights in giving it. As this season unfolds, keep your spiritual posture soft. Let success deepen your prayer, not replace it. Let provision sharpen your generosity, not shrink it. Let peace strengthen your obedience, not weaken it. The truest sign that a blessing is from God is that it draws you closer to Him, not further away. You are not late. You are not overlooked. You are not forgotten. You are standing at the edge of a chapter that required everything before it to prepare you. And when you look back, you will see that even the painful moments were precise. Even the losses were protective. Even the delays were merciful. There is a sacred responsibility that comes with being chosen for increase. And God is teaching you that responsibility now, before the manifestation becomes visible. He is shaping your discernment so you do not confuse noise for direction. He is steadying your emotions so excitement does not overpower wisdom. He is anchoring your spirit so that when the ground shifts, you stand firm instead of scrambling. This is not restraint for denial's sake. It is preparation for longevity. God knows the weight of what He is about to place in your hands. He knows how quickly blessing can become distraction if the heart is not anchored. That is why He has been calling you inward, deeper, quieter, why He has drawn you away from unnecessary explanations and constant validation. He is teaching you how to be content in His presence before He enlarges your influence. Because only those who are satisfied in God can steward abundance without being consumed by it. You may notice that your prayers are changing. They are less frantic, less demanding, more surrendered. You are not begging anymore, you are listening. That shift matters. God responds differently to hearts that trust Him than to hearts that only seek outcomes. Trust creates room for surprise. Control suffocates it. And God is inviting you into a posture where your hands are open, not clenched around expectations, but lifted in readiness. This season will also reveal who can walk with you into what God is doing and who cannot. Not everyone who supported you in survival will understand you in stability. That is not rejection, it is transition. God often adjusts relationships when He adjusts assignments. Some people were meant to help you endure, not expand. Honor them without forcing them into spaces they were never meant to occupy. God will surround you with the right voices at the right time. Do not confuse solitude with isolation. God sometimes separates before He elevates, not to make you lonely, but to make you focused. When the noise fades, clarity grows. When opinions quiet down, direction becomes unmistakable. And when the surprise comes, you will not be swayed by external pressure, because your confidence will be rooted in God's instruction, not human approval. There is also healing happening beneath the surface. God is addressing old wounds that would have sabotaged future joy. You could not fully receive what He prepared if you were still carrying resentment, fear, or shame from past seasons. So He has been gently, sometimes painfully, bringing those things to the surface, not to condemn you, but to cleanse you. Healing is not a detour, it is a prerequisite. What God gives next will require emotional maturity, the ability to respond instead of react, to pause instead of panic, to discern instead of assume. These are not traits you develop overnight. They are formed in waiting, in prayer, in surrender. And you have been developing them more than you realize. The growth may have felt invisible, but it is undeniable. You are learning how to hear God without constant confirmation, how to trust His voice even when the path feels unfamiliar. That confidence will matter when the blessing arrives, because not everyone will understand the timing or the method. You must be secure enough in God's leading to move forward without needing universal agreement. When the surprise unfolds, remember that it is not the destination, it is the doorway. God's blessings often open new levels of responsibility, new invitations to obedience, new opportunities to reflect His character. The gift is real, but so is the calling that accompanies it. Do not fear that calling. God never invites without equipping. He never assigns without sustaining. There will be moments of awe, moments where gratitude catches in your throat, moments where you realize that prayers whispered in exhaustion have been answered with precision. Let those moments deepen your reverence, not dull it. Never lose the wonder. Familiarity with blessing can numb the heart if you are not intentional about remembrance. Create space in your life to acknowledge God's faithfulness regularly, not only in crisis but in calm, not only when you need rescue, but when you are experiencing relief. Gratitude keeps the heart soft. Humility keeps the spirit teachable. And God delights in a heart that recognizes Him not only as provider, but as guide. You are stepping into a season where your testimony will be less about survival and more about trust. Less about how hard it was and more about how faithful God proved Himself to be. That shift is powerful. It moves others from pity to hope, from doubt to belief. Your life will quietly declare that God's timing is worth waiting for. Do not rush to define what God is doing. Let it unfold. Some things lose their impact when explained too early. God often reveals meaning in layers, not all at once. Allow yourself to grow into the blessing rather than trying to master it immediately. Growth is not weakness, it is wisdom. As you continue forward, remain attentive to small instructions. God often speaks through simple obedience that feels insignificant at the moment. Conversation, a pause, a choice to wait. These small acts often protect the larger purpose. Never underestimate the power of staying obedient when it feels inconvenient. The season ahead will stretch you, but it will not break you. It will challenge you, but it will not confuse you. God's hand will be evident, His peace consistent, His guidance clear. And even when you do not have every answer, you will have confidence in the one who does. There will come a point when you are tempted to look back and reinterpret your past through regret, but resist that impulse. God does not waste seasons. Even the moments you thought were detours were quietly shaping discernment, resilience, and spiritual depth. Nothing was lost. Nothing was meaningless. What felt like fragmentation was actually formation. God was building a foundation strong enough to support what He already foresaw. You are learning now that trust is not passive. It is an active decision to stand steady when evidence has not yet caught up with promise. God honors that kind of trust, not because it impresses Him, but because it aligns you with His nature. He is faithful even when circumstances fluctuate. And when your faith begins to mirror His consistency, you become ready for what He has planned. Some blessings do not arrive as sudden celebration, but as quiet permission to breathe again. Relief can be just as miraculous as abundance. Stability can be just as powerful as increase. God understands what you need, not only materially, but emotionally and spiritually. The surprise He prepares addresses layers you never spoke out loud. He heals fatigue that accumulated over years. He restores confidence that eroded slow. Why? He rebuilds hope where disappointment once lingered. Be aware that God often delivers answers differently than you imagine because He refuses to be limited by human expectation. What He gives may exceed what you asked for, but it will also require you to think differently. Expansion begins in the mind before it manifests in life. Old limitations cannot coexist with new capacity. God will gently confront beliefs you formed in survival mode and invite you into renewed thinking shaped by trust. You are stepping into a time where obedience will feel lighter, not because the call is smaller, but because your confidence in God is deeper. Fear loses its authority when trust matures. You no longer obey to avoid loss. You obey because you recognize God's voice. That shift marks spiritual adulthood. And God entrusts greater responsibility to those who listen without coercion. When the surprise unfolds, guard against the urge to rush ahead of God. Momentum can tempt you to move faster than wisdom allows. Speed without direction creates confusion, but patience guided by God creates clarity. Stay responsive, stay prayerful. God's guidance will not disappear once the blessing arrives. It will become even more essential. There may be moments when you feel unprepared, despite all the growth you've experienced. Do not interpret that feeling as failure. Humility keeps you dependent. God delights in partnering with those who remain teachable. He does not require perfection. He desires surrender. Every step forward taken in reliance on Him will be strengthened by His presence. Let your confidence remain quiet and grounded. You do not need to prove anything. God is your defender, your validator, your source. When you are secure in Him, comparison loses its grip and approval loses its power. You become free to walk faithfully without performing for affirmation. Remember that God's surprises often reveal His character more than they reveal your success. They testify that He is attentive, intentional, and involved. Your life becomes a living reminder that God sees beyond timelines and works beyond limitations. That testimony carries weight far beyond words. As you move forward, protect your inner life. External growth means little if inner alignment is neglected. Make space for stillness. Make room for reflection. God speaks most clearly when the heart is quiet enough to listen. His direction will not compete with chaos. It will guide with peace and precision. You are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into trust refined by experience. God has already proven Himself to you in hidden ways. Now He is allowing that faith to meet visible evidence. This is not the end of dependence. It is the beginning of deeper partnership. When doubts try to resurface, remember who carried you through seasons you thought you would not survive. The same God who sustained you then is sustaining you now. His faithfulness is not seasonal, it is constant. And that constancy is what allows you to move forward without fear. Let your heart remain soft as your life expands. Let compassion grow alongside provision. Let wisdom deepen alongside opportunity. God's blessings are most powerful when they shape who you are, not just what you have. Stay anchored, stay grateful, stay attentive. The unfolding ahead will confirm what your spirit already knows. God is intentional. His timing is precise. And His plans are always guided by purpose and love. And as you walk into what He has prepared, let your life quietly testify that waiting was not wasted, trusting was not foolish, and obedience was never in vain. The God who spoke the promise is faithful to complete it, and He is with you in every step that follows. There will be days ahead when the blessing feels almost too normal, when the extraordinary settles into routine, and that is where faith must mature. God does not remain only in the moment of surprise. He remains in the stewardship that follows. The miracle may arrive suddenly, but the meaning of it unfolds over time. Do not lose reverence once familiarity sets in. What God sustains daily deserves as much honor as what He delivers suddenly. You are being taught how to live from assurance, not anticipation. Anticipation carried you through the waiting, but assurance will carry you through the responsibility. Assurance is quieter, stronger, rooted. It does not need constant confirmation because it remembers what God has already done. And memory, when sanctified, becomes a powerful anchor. There may be moments when you are tempted to ask, why me? Not from pride, but from awe. Let that question lead you not to self-analysis, but to worship. God's choices are not random, and they are not based on worthiness measured by perfection. He entrusts according to purpose. He assigns according to calling. And when He chooses to bless, it is always in alignment with something larger than comfort. What unfolds next week? It'll stretch your understanding of generosity. Not only what you give, but how you give. God is forming a heart that releases freely, without fear of lack returning. Fear clings, faith releases. And the more you trust God as your source, the lighter your grip becomes. Abundance held tightly becomes anxiety. Abundance held loosely becomes testimony. You will also discover that peace is the truest measure of success. Not applause, not visibility, peace. The kind that remains when plans shift. The kind that steadies you when decisions carry weight. The kind that does not evaporate when challenges arise. That peace is God's signature. When it guards your heart, you know you are walking in alignment. There may be seasons ahead where obedience requires saying no to things that look beneficial on the surface. Growth does not mean accepting everything offered. Discernment will protect what God has given you. God is not impressed by busyness. He is honored by obedience. The discipline to wait for His instruction will preserve clarity and prevent regret. You will find that your confidence now carries compassion. Where you once judged yourself harshly, you now extend grace to yourself and to others. That is evidence of healing. God never elevates a hardened heart. He refines tenderness alongside strength. And that combination will allow you to lead, influence, and serve without losing yourself. Let prayer remain central, not as a crisis response, but as daily communion. Success can make people forget the place where clarity is renewed. Do not make that mistake. God's presence is not a stepping stone. It is the destination. Everything else flows from that connection. When prayer aims alive, direction remains clear. There will be times when God asks you to remember where you came from. Not to dwell there, but to stay grateful. Gratitude protects humility. Humility protects wisdom. Wisdom protects blessing. These are not abstract ideas, they are spiritual safeguards. Walk in them deliberately. You may notice that your words carry more weight now. Speak carefully, speak truthfully, speak with intention. God often increases influence quietly, and words spoken casually can shape outcomes unexpectedly. Let your speech reflect the reverence you carry for what God is doing. As the journey continues, trust that God will keep refining you. Growth does not stop when blessing arrives, it deepens. Each new level brings new lessons, new dependence, new opportunities to trust Him more fully. Do not resist that process. Refinement is proof of care, not correction. And if uncertainty ever tries to return, meet it with remembrance. Remember the nights you prayed with no assurance except God's presence. Remember the strength that carried you when answers were absent. The same God who was faithful then is faithful now. Nothing has changed except the season. Walk forward with steadiness, not rushed, not hesitant, just faithful. God is not asking you to impress anyone. He is asking you to remain aligned with Him. That alignment will guide you through decisions you never anticipated and responsibilities you never imagined. Let your life continue to be a quiet declaration that God is trustworthy, that waiting refines, that obedience matters, that surprises from God are never shallow, never careless, never late. And as the days unfold, may your heart remain anchored. In this truth, the greatest gift God has given you is not what is in your hands, but who He is in your life. Everything else is an expression of His faithfulness. And He is not finished. There are seasons when God whispers, and there are moments when He speaks with thunder. You are entering a time when His goodness will no longer be hidden behind patience and waiting. What you have been faithful with in silence, He is about to reward in a way that speaks loudly. You have prayed prayers that felt like they disappeared into the ceiling, yet God gathered every word. You have sown obedience when there was no applause, no recognition, and no visible return. Now the ground beneath your feet is pregnant with promise, and the harvest is preparing to break through the surface. God does not bless randomly. He blesses intentionally. He blesses according to purpose, timing, and divine wisdom that exceeds human logic. What is coming is not small because the preparation was not small. You were shaped by delay, strengthened by resistance, and refined by moments when you had to trust God without evidence. Those moments were not punishment. They were preparation. God was enlarging your capacity so you could carry what is about to be released without collapsing under the weight of it. There are blessings that would have destroyed you if they had arrived earlier. There are open doors that would have distracted you if they had opened before your character was ready. God withheld, not because He was unwilling, but because He was wise. He saw the full picture when you only saw the pain of waiting. Now the season is changing. The same God who taught you endurance is about to introduce you to overflow. You must understand this deeply. When God blesses, He does not do it halfway. His blessings do not merely add to your life, they transform it. They rearrange priorities, they shift identity, they redefine what you believe about provision, favor, and purpose. What God is preparing will not just meet a need, it will shatter limitations. It will confront the beliefs that told you to expect less, settle for less, and dream smaller. You may have grown used to managing disappointment, telling yourself not to expect too much so you would not be hurt again. But God is not asking you to protect yourself right now. He is asking you to trust Him again. The blessing coming your way will require faith to receive, not fear to survive. It will demand gratitude, not suspicion. God is about to be so good to you that it will challenge the story you have been telling yourself about how life works. There are doors that will open so smoothly, you will realize resistance was never the final chapter. There are connections God is aligning that you did not force, manipulate, or chase. They are being drawn together by divine design. What you could not arrange through effort, God is arranging through favor. What you could not fix through strategy, God is healing through grace. Do not underestimate the power of divine timing. When God decides it is time, no delay can stop it, and no opposition can cancel it. What has been held back is now being released with precision. The blessing will arrive not 1 second late and not 1 second early. It will meet you at the exact moment your spirit is ready to recognize it as God's hand and not mere coincidence. There is a reason your spirit has been restless lately. God is awakening your expectation. He is loosening your grip on old limitations so your hands will be free to receive something greater. You are being invited to think beyond survival and into abundance, beyond coping and into calling. God is not just blessing you for your sake. He is positioning you as a testimony of what His faithfulness looks like in real life. What is coming will not make sense to those who only measure life by visible effort. They will not understand how doors opened so quickly, how provision appeared so precisely, how restoration unfolded so completely. But you will know. You will recognize the fingerprints of God all over it. You will remember the nights you cried quietly, the prayers you whispered when your strength was gone, and you will say with certainty, this could only be God. There are blessings that announce themselves gently, and there are blessings that arrive like a divine interruption. What God is about to do will stop you in your tracks. It will cause you to pause and catch your breath. Not because you are overwhelmed by chaos, but because you are overwhelmed by goodness. You will find yourself thanking God not out of habit, but out of awe. Do not fear the magnitude of what is coming. God would not reveal it if He had not already equipped you to carry it. He knows your fears. He knows the places where you still feel unqualified. Yet He also knows the strength He placed inside you long before you noticed it yourself. This blessing will not expose your weakness. It will reveal His sufficiency. Some of you have been faithful in places that felt invisible. You honored God when no one was watching. You chose integrity when compromise would have been easier. You chose obedience when shortcuts were available. Heaven recorded every choice. Nothing was wasted. God is now responding not only to your prayers, but to your faithfulness. This is not a season of crumbs. This is not a season of barely enough. God is about to exceed what you asked for because you have grown beyond what you once prayed. The blessing will match the maturity He has developed in you. It will align with the vision He has planted in your spirit. Even the parts you were afraid to say out loud. Be careful not to shrink when God expands. Do not talk yourself out of what He is giving you by rehearsing old disappointments. This is a new chapter, and it requires a renewed mind. God is not repeating the past. He is surpassing it. He is doing something fresh, something that will redefine how you see His generosity. You are about to witness God move in ways that restore your confidence in His goodness. He is not distant. He is not unaware. He has been actively involved in every step, even when you felt alone. The blessing will be personal. It will touch areas you thought were permanently damaged. It will bring healing where you learn to live with pain. There is a divine joy attached to what is coming, not the kind that fades when circumstances change, but the deep assurance that God is faithful beyond question. You will smile differently. You will walk differently, not because everything is perfect, but because you have seen God move in a way that leaves no room for doubt. Let your heart remain soft. Let gratitude rise before the blessing arrives. Praise is not a response only after provision. It is a posture that prepares the heart to receive. When God sees expectation rooted in trust, He releases blessings that exceed imagination. This is not a call to arrogance. It is a call to humility and wonder. When God blesses you greatly, it is not to elevate your ego, but to expand your influence for good. He is entrusting you with more because He knows your heart can steward it. The blessing will not replace your dependence on God. It will deepen it. What you are about to experience will remind you that God specializes in sudden shifts. Long seasons of waiting can turn into moments of fulfillment without warning. Do not lose hope just because the night was long. Morning is closer than it feels, and it carries more than relief. It carries reward. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are right on schedule for a divine surprise that will leave you speechless. God is about to blow your mind, not to confuse you, but to show you how small your expectations were compared to His plans. Stay faithful, stay receptive, stay anchored in trust. The blessing is already on its way, moving through channels you cannot see, guided by a wisdom you cannot measure. When it arrives, you will understand why it had to happen this way and at this time. And when it does, you will not only rejoice for yourself, your life will become a quiet sermon, a living testimony that God still blesses, still restores, and still exceeds expectations. You will stand as evidence that patience is not wasted, obedience is not ignored, and faith is never misplaced. There are moments when God does not simply answer a prayer, but rewrites the entire narrative around it. You thought you were asking for relief, yet He was preparing transformation. You asked for strength to endure, but He was planning a release so complete that endurance would no longer be your language. God is not limited by the scale of your expectation, yet He is deeply attentive to the posture of your heart. When your heart remains open, teachable, and surrendered, He moves with a generosity that overwhelms human understanding. What God is about to do will confront the quiet doubts you never spoke aloud, those inner questions that asked whether obedience truly mattered, whether patience truly paid off, whether faith really made a difference when circumstances remained unchanged. God is about to answer those questions not with explanations, but with evidence. He will respond not with arguments, but with action so clear that even your doubts will bow in silence. You must recognize that blessings from God are not merely material or external. They carry weight in the spirit. They heal places that words could never reach. They restore confidence where fear once lived. They awaken joy that had been buried under responsibility and disappointment. When God blesses you, He touches every layer of your being, not just the visible parts others can see. There is a holy boldness rising within you now, not arrogance, but assurance. Assurance that God is who He says He is. Assurance that His promises are not fragile. Assurance that your story is not defined by what went wrong, but by what God is about to make right. This confidence is not self-generated. It is birthed from witnessing God move in ways you could never orchestrate. Some blessings arrive quietly, but others arrive with such clarity that they recalibrate your entire outlook on life. You will begin to see challenges differently. Obstacles will no longer intimidate you the same way, because you have seen what happens when God decides to intervene. Fear loses its authority when faith has a reference point, and God is about to give you one that you will never forget. Do not rush the moment when the blessing arrives. Receive it fully. Let it sink deep into your spirit. Too often, people move quickly past God's goodness, afraid to hope too much or enjoy it too deeply. But God is not threatened by your joy. He delights in it. He blesses not only to provide, but to remind you that delight and faith can coexist. There will be clarity where confusion once lingered. Decisions that once felt heavy will become lighter, not because life has no challenges, but because you now trust the one guiding your steps. God is not removing you from responsibility. He is empowering you with wisdom, peace, and discernment that flow from intimacy with Him. You may notice that your prayers begin to change. They will no longer be driven by desperation, but by alignment. You will pray not only for outcomes, but for understanding, not only for open doors, but for the wisdom to walk through the right ones. This shift is evidence that God is maturing your faith through blessing, not testing it through lack. There is also a refining that comes with abundance. God teaches you how to steward what He gives. He shapes your character so that the blessing remains a tool, not a trap. He keeps your heart grounded, reminding you that everything flows from Him and returns to Him. In this way, the blessing does not replace God. It reveals Him more clearly. What God is doing in you will begin to affect others, even without effort. Your peace will speak. Your steadiness will testify. Your gratitude will invite questions. You will not need to announce what God has done. The evidence will be visible in how you live, how you respond, how you love, and how you trust. There will be moments when you look back and realize how precisely God orchestrated everything. The delays that frustrated you, the detours that confused you, the closed doors that disappointed you, all of it was protection. All of it was alignment. God was ensuring that when the blessing arrived, it would not compete with unfinished lessons or unresolved wounds. Remain attentive. God often speaks softly in seasons of blessing, inviting deeper communion rather than louder effort. Do not mistake momentum for independence. Stay anchored. Stay prayerful. Stay grateful. Blessings are safest when they are carried in hands that remain open toward God. Your future is not fragile. It is held by a faithful God who does not make careless promises. What He begins, He completes. What He releases, He sustains. You are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into a season where God's faithfulness becomes undeniable. Let your soul rest in this truth. You are not waiting for God to notice you. He has been watching, guiding, preparing, and aligning every step. The blessing is not a sudden decision. It is the result of long, intentional, divine planning. God knew this moment before you ever asked for it. As you stand on the edge of what is coming, do not let fear whisper lies about worthiness or readiness. God does not bless by mistake. If He has chosen to release this into your life, it is because He has already prepared you in ways you may only recognize later. There is a sacred moment that comes just before God moves in an undeniable way. A moment when silence feels heavy and expectation feels almost uncomfortable. That is where you are now. Not abandoned, not stalled, but positioned. God often brings His people to the edge of certainty so that faith, not familiarity, becomes the bridge. You are standing at that edge, and heaven is not quiet because nothing is happening. Heaven is focused because everything is aligning. God is not only preparing what will come into your hands, He is preparing what will rise within your heart. The blessing is not arriving to impress you, but to awaken you. It will awaken gratitude where numbness tried to settle. It will awaken courage where hesitation lingered. It will awaken vision where disappointment once narrowed your sight. God is expanding you from the inside out so that when the blessing manifests, it feels like confirmation, not confusion. There are things God is about to do that will make your past struggles make sense without diminishing their pain. You will not minimize what you endured. but you will finally understand why it did not break you. God was teaching you how to stand steady under pressure so that when increase came, it would not destabilize you. The weight you carried was never meant to crush you, it was meant to strengthen you. Be attentive to the way God reshapes your desires in this season. Some things you once wanted no longer hold the same power over you. That is not loss, that is clarity. God removes distractions gently when He knows something greater is approaching. He refines your appetite so that when the blessing arrives, you recognize it as nourishment, not noise. You will notice that your faith is becoming quieter but stronger, not silent but settled. You no longer need constant reassurance because you have developed discernment. This is the mark of maturity. God is teaching you to recognize His movement even when it does not announce itself loudly. And yet, when the blessing comes, it will still leave you in awe. There is a holy confidence God is restoring within you, not confidence in outcomes, but confidence in Him. This kind of confidence does not panic when timelines shift or details remain unclear. It rests, it trusts, it waits without resentment. God honors this posture because it reflects surrender, not control. What is unfolding will also reveal who you are becoming. You will respond with wisdom where you once reacted with fear. You will speak with calm where you once felt pressure to defend yourself. You will move with patience where you once rushed decisions. These are signs that the blessing is already at work, shaping you before it shows itself fully. God's blessings often arrive wrapped in responsibility, not to burden you, but to dignify you. He trusts you with what He gives. He knows your heart has been trained to steward, not consume. This is why the blessing will not drift through your life temporarily. It will establish itself with purpose. There will be moments when you feel overwhelmed, not by hardship, but by gratitude. You may find yourself pausing unexpectedly, overcome by the realization that God kept His word. Allow yourself to feel that. Do not rush past it. Those moments become anchors for future faith when challenges arise again. Remain vigilant against the temptation to compare your journey with others. God's work in you is specific, intentional, and personal. Comparison dilutes gratitude and distracts from intimacy. What God is doing in your life cannot be measured against someone else's story because it was designed uniquely for you. You are entering a season where obedience feels less like sacrifice and more like alignment. What once required effort now flows from desire. This is evidence that God has written His ways deeper into your heart. Blessing has a way of revealing what has truly been transformed within you. Do not fear sustainability. God does not bless briefly when His intention is longevity. He teaches you how to remain rooted, even when circumstances improve. He shows you how to keep praying when answers arrive, and how to stay humble when favor increases. These lessons preserve the blessing and protect your spirit. There is also a gentle invitation from God in this season to draw closer, not drift. Blessings can create distance if gratitude is replaced by distraction. Guard your closeness to God fiercely. Let thanksgiving remain your language. Let dependence remain your posture. What is coming will not erase challenges, but it will redefine how you face them. You will no longer see difficulties as signs of abandonment, but as opportunities for God to demonstrate His faithfulness again. Each victory will build upon the last, creating a foundation of trust that cannot be easily shaken. You will soon realize that God was never late, He was thorough. Every step, every pause, every redirection was intentional. The blessing required a version of you that only the process could produce. Now that version is here, ready to receive without fear and steward without pride. As this season unfolds, let your heart remain tender. Let your spirit stay responsive. God is not finished revealing Himself to you. What you are about to experience is not the peak, but the opening of a deeper journey marked by trust, clarity, and purpose. And when you stand in the fullness of what God has done, your soul will recognize the truth without explanation. You will know that no human effort could have orchestrated this. No coincidence could have aligned it. It was God, steady and intentional, faithful and precise, proving once again that those who trust Him are never disappointed, never overlooked, and never left without witness of His goodness. There is a deeper work God is doing now that cannot be measured by what is visible. Before the blessing fully manifests, He is establishing an unshakable foundation within you. This is the kind of foundation that does not tremble when circumstances fluctuate, the kind that holds steady when praise is loud and when silence returns. God is anchoring you in truth so that what He gives you will never become your source, but a reflection of the source Himself. You are learning, perhaps without realizing it, how to recognize God's presence not only in moments of need, but in moments of abundance. This is sacred ground. Many can call on God when they are desperate, but it takes maturity to remain attentive when joy increases and pressure decreases. God is teaching you to walk with Him consistently, not situationally. That is why this season feels different. Your faith is no longer reactive, it is relational. There is also a quiet courage being awakened in you, not the loud courage that seeks attention, but the steady courage that trusts God even when outcomes are unknown. This courage allows you to move forward without demanding guarantees. It allows you to obey without negotiating the cost. God honors this courage because it reflects His own faithfulness at work within you. You may begin to sense a new depth of peace settling over your decisions. This peace does not rush you, and it does not pressure you. It guides you gently, confirming what aligns with God's will and unsettling what does not. This is discernment growing sharper. God is refining your ability to hear Him clearly so that the blessing does not confuse you, but confirms what He has already been speaking to your spirit. As God blesses you, He also invites you into a greater awareness of responsibility, not as a burden, but as an honor. He is entrusting you with influence, whether seen or unseen, and He is shaping your heart to carry it wisely. Influence rooted in humility becomes a channel through which God's goodness flows freely. Influence rooted in pride becomes blocked. God is guarding you from that by keeping your heart soft. There will be moments ahead when you realize that what once intimidated you no longer has power over you. Situations that used to drain your energy will now meet a calm, grounded response. This is not because you have become indifferent, but because God has strengthened your inner life. When the inner life is strong, external pressures lose their authority. God is also teaching you the sacred art of rest, not inactivity, but trust-filled rest. Rest that knows when to move and when to wait. Rest that does not strive to prove worth or chase validation. This kind of rest is a sign that you are secure in God's guidance. It is evidence that you are no longer trying to force outcomes that God has already promised to handle. You may notice that gratitude is becoming more natural, less forced. It rises not only from what God has done, but from who He has shown Himself to be. Gratitude rooted in relationship carries power. It keeps your heart aligned and your spirit receptive. God responds to gratitude because it keeps you aware that every good thing flows from His hand. Do not be surprised if God continues to stretch your vision even as He fulfills promises. Fulfillment does not mean conclusion. God's goodness often opens the door to deeper purpose. As one prayer is answered, another is quietly planted. God is expanding your capacity to believe, not to overwhelm you, but to draw you further into trust. There is a sacred humility that will guard you in this season. A humility that does not diminish confidence but strengthens it. You will know that what you have received is not a reward for perfection, but a gift from grace. This understanding keeps your heart free from pressure and your spirit open to continued growth. When challenges appear again, and they will, you will face them differently. Not with panic, not with despair, but with perspective. You will remember what God has already done. You will remember how He moved when there was no visible way. That memory will become fuel for faith rather than fear. God is weaving your story with intentional care. Nothing is accidental. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is wasted. Every experience has contributed to the strength, wisdom, and compassion now forming within you. The blessing is not separate from the journey. It is the culmination of God's patient work through it. As you continue forward, let your heart remain attentive to God's voice above all others. Let His guidance be the measure of success, His peace the confirmation of direction. When God leads, you do not need to fear the unknown, because He never guides without purpose. And when you find yourself standing in moments that feel almost too good to be real, let worship rise naturally, not as a performance, but as recognition. Recognition that God is faithful. Recognition that His promises are alive. Recognition that your life is held, guided, and sustained by a goodness far greater than circumstance. This is the unfolding of a season marked not only by blessing, but by depth, clarity, and spiritual awakening. God is not merely changing what surrounds you. He is transforming how you walk, how you trust, and how you see Him. And this transformation will remain long after the moment passes, anchoring you in a faith that knows without hesitation that God is always at work, always faithful, and always good. There will come a point when you realize that God has been teaching you how to listen beyond noise. Not just the noise of the world, but the noise of your own fears, assumptions, and past disappointments. In this season, God is sharpening your sensitivity to truth. His guidance is becoming clearer because your heart is becoming quieter. Silence before God is not emptiness, it is alignment. And alignment always precedes movement. You're beginning to understand that God's blessings do not rush you, they steady you. They do not pull you into chaos, they anchor you in purpose. When God blesses, He brings order where there was confusion and direction where there was hesitation. You will find yourself moving forward with a calm certainty that cannot be explained by circumstance alone. This is the confidence that comes from walking in step with divine will. God is also healing the way you see yourself. The old labels that were shaped by failure, rejection, or delay are losing their grip. You are no longer defined by what did not work out. You are being redefined by what God is unfolding. This internal renewal is just as significant as any external blessing because it changes how you receive, how you respond, and how you remain faithful when the season shifts again. There is a sacred strength rising within you, one that does not need to dominate or prove itself. It is strength rooted in trust, strength that allows you to say no without guilt and yes without fear. God is teaching you that obedience is not about pressure, but about peace. When you move with Him, your steps may be challenging, but they will never be empty. As the blessing draws nearer, you may feel a heightened awareness of God's presence in ordinary moments. Simple things will begin to carry deeper meaning. This is not coincidence. God often wraps His greatest revelations in everyday life so that intimacy grows naturally, not artificially. He wants you to know Him not only as a deliverer, but as a constant companion. You are also learning that waiting with God is different from waiting alone. Waiting with God builds endurance without bitterness. It refines expectation without entitlement. This is why your heart feels more grounded now. You are no longer waiting to be rescued. You are walking with assurance. The blessing will not interrupt your life. It will integrate into it with purpose. God is preparing you to recognize His voice even when it challenges your comfort. Blessing does not mean stagnation. Growth will continue. God's favor invites responsibility, wisdom, and continued surrender. But do not fear this. The same God who blesses also sustains. He never requires what He does not empower. There will be moments ahead when gratitude flows effortlessly, not because everything is easy, but because everything is anchored. You will thank God not only for what He has given, but for who you have become through trusting Him. This gratitude will keep your spirit light even when your calling becomes weighty. God is also reminding you that faith is not proven only in crisis, but in consistency. The way you honor Him when life feels stable matters deeply. The way you remain attentive when urgency fades reveals maturity. God values this faithfulness because it reflects trust that does not depend on pressure. As your journey continues, you will see how God uses your story to encourage others without you trying to explain it. Your steadiness will speak. Your peace will invite curiosity. Your humility will reflect truth. God often chooses the quiet testimony over the loud declaration because it carries authenticity. Do not underestimate the power of small obediences in this season. God is attentive to every choice made with integrity and every step taken in trust. These moments accumulate, shaping a life that can carry blessing without distortion. God's wisdom is patient, and His preparation is precise. You are walking into a future that is not fragile, not uncertain, and not unsupported. It is held by a God who sees beyond moments and into destiny. Even when clarity unfolds gradually, His purpose remains complete. You do not need to rush understanding. You need only remain faithful. And when the fullness of what God is doing becomes undeniable, your heart will recognize the truth immediately. This was never random. This was never accidental. This was God guiding, shaping, and blessing with intention. A God who knows how to prepare His people for what they prayed for, and who remains present long after the prayer is answered. So stay present, stay receptive, stay rooted. God is still unfolding His goodness, still revealing His faithfulness, and still inviting you deeper. What He is doing now will echo through your life with meaning, strength, and hope, reminding you again and again that when God leads, every step carries purpose, and every season holds promise. So let your heart come to rest here, not in passivity, but in assurance. You are not standing at the end of a promise. You are standing at the threshold of fulfillment. Everything God has allowed, delayed, and designed has been moving toward this convergence of timing, readiness, and purpose. What is ahead is not fragile, and it is not temporary. It is rooted in divine intention, sustained by divine faithfulness, and released by divine love. As you move forward, carry this truth with you. God does not bless to impress, but to reveal His nature, to reveal His nearness, to reveal that trust placed in Him is never misplaced. When the blessing fully unfolds, it will not only change circumstances, it will deepen reverence, strengthen faith, and anchor your spirit in unshakable confidence. You will remember this season as the moment when hope became tangible, when faith moved from endurance to evidence. You will look back and see how carefully God prepared you, how gently He led you, and how powerfully He delivered what only He could give. And in that remembrance, gratitude will rise naturally, steady and sincere. Remain humble, remain grateful, remain attentive. The same God who brought you here will continue to guide you forward. His goodness does not expire, and His presence does not withdraw when prayers are answered. He walks with you into what comes next, just as faithfully as He walked with you through what came before. And when words finally fail to describe what God has done, let your life speak. Let your peace testify. Let your confidence reflect trust. Let your joy bear witness, because the greatest evidence of God's blessing is not what surrounds you, but who you have become through trusting Him. This is not the end of the story. This is the unfolding of a deeper journey with a faithful God who keeps His word, honors surrender, and exceeds expectation. Stand firm in that truth. Walk boldly in that assurance, and know without doubt that God has been, is now, and will always be good.